Hello. I haven't been putting out any videos because I just consider what I'm doing is just not interesting enough. But then I look at other videos on YouTube and I don't think they're very interesting, and yet they get thousands of viewers. So maybe I'm thinking the things that I think are not interesting may be interesting to other people. So then I'm going to start putting videos on YouTube about my weekly activities and just find out if people find them interesting or not. So what am I doing at the moment? Well, this is my dive compressor. The dive compressor has emergency stop button there, but I found that the emergency stop button clicks out when it shouldn't do. Plus, I've got the battery connected, so if I wanted to go diving, I'll get everything connected up, the battery connected up to the compressor, but find at the last minute diving conditions aren't good, wait for the next day. Meanwhile, the battery is connected to all this equipment which could drain it. So what I'm doing is I'm putting in an isolating switch to isolate the battery from the dive compressor, so I can have it hopefully connected up for a week or whatever without possibility of draining the battery. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. I've got the lead which goes to the battery here. I'm interrupting it by putting a couple of terminals that go onto the switch, and we should be good to rock and roll. Well, so far, how far have I gone? This is the installed switch, but you will notice that I've actually installed it with the nuts sticking up out of the top of the compressor frame. This is because if I reversed it the other way, the nuts would be on the bottom, obviously, but they could fail the terminals. So make sure they didn't fail the terminals, I put them up this way. But normally you would make the job look nicer by having them up the other way. Well, here I am in my shed. I was going to be working on the car this morning, but I've pulled a muscle in my shoulder on I think one of my left pec. So it's not really suitable for climbing under cars. And I don't like working on cars, so any excuse is good enough for me not to work on it. But today, this is just a whole pile of junk in here. I went out fishing the other day and I'm trying to find bits of fishing gear all over the place because I'm the most unorganised person in the world. So what I'm going to do is get all my fishing gear and stick it on this shelf and get rid of all this rubbish. I got the stuff here. This is from an old timber boat that I used to have, but I just can't throw things away. This goes off the front. This is off the bow where the anchor line goes out of. But I just can't throw anything away. So I think I'll have to start doing that, start chucking things in the bin and get this area all organised for fishing. Not that I'm very good at fishing, but at least I'm organised for not very good fishing. Well, a few hours has passed and now I've got a little bit more clearing up. I was going to have my fishing gear here, but my fishing tackle box wouldn't fit in here. So the fishing gear now is down the bottom. I had to take out a shelf to get it in there, but that's now down the bottom. Some diving gear here, ropes, and some spare diving gear down the bottom. So I'm getting there. I've got almost a spare shelf here. I've got my boat prop on there. And that's about it. So tomorrow I'll hopefully get onto my car and do the tie rod ends so my car can go into the service centre and have a realignment. So I'll catch you tomorrow when I'm crawling under the car. How's that? This is take 2, because take 1 I forgot to press the record button. This happens to me a few times, or has happened to me a few times. I'm trying to get myself organised as well. One of the reasons why I don't put out videos is because sometimes I do my own design, do things my own way. Sometimes things go pear-shaped, and that's it. I don't put it on YouTube. Maybe I should. Could be some form of entertainment. But this is a battery box. I had my battery just sitting on the deck, and I was throwing some diving gear in, and the 2 terminals of the battery were exposed, and threw my catch bag in, which as normal was empty, but had it gone across the terminals it would have shorted everything out. Might have blown the battery up, I don't know. So I thought then I really need to enclose that battery in a battery box. So I grabbed this battery box. There we have it. Now I went out fishing the other day. I can't fish for nuts. But I realised when I was getting the boat ready that I don't have any lights on the boat. So I just got a handful of torches and threw them in. It was the last minute I realised to go out fishing at night time you need lights. So I'm thinking this battery, as well as powering the compressor, could also run lights in the boat. But that means it'll take up deck space, so I might have to move my tackle box on top of the battery box. See how we get on. So that's one of my next jobs, is to install the battery and battery box, and then put the tackle box on top. Well, what the hell am I up to now? I'm rigging up my compressor. It's fairly new, as you probably know if you've seen my other videos. And earlier on in the video I told you about the switch that I'd installed. And told you I installed that because this switch seemed to be malfunctioning. I'll just see if it will now. Turn the compressor on. Just turns itself back on again. I don't know why, it just switches itself back on. So that's one of the reasons why I put the isolating switch there. The other reason was because I just wanted to isolate the battery from the electrics in here so that the battery wouldn't flatten over a period of time. So what am I doing at the moment? Well, glad you asked. I was setting it up for diving. I've done a couple of experiments, and I got my dive built to what I thought would be okay. But when I'm diving down, I got to about 4 or 5 meters and couldn't go any further. And the reason being is because the air hose, like if you're scuba diving, as soon as you break the surface, it will keep going down, because as you go down, the pressure presses on you, makes you smaller and less buoyant, so you'll just keep going down. Diving down with a compressor, you're dragging an airline down with you, and the airline is positively buoyant, so the airline is trying to pull you back up again. So I got to about 4 or 5 meters. I didn't exactly have a look to see what it was, and I couldn't dive any further because the air hose was pulling me back up. So I've put some extra weight on my weight belt, and I've had to put in a buoyancy jacket in my system, which I wasn't going to have before, but I think I need it now. So the question I have now is, the buoyancy jacket got enough buoyancy to keep me on the surface against the weight of the weight belt? In order to do that, I'm going to try it out in the pool. One of the advantages, I suppose, of having a pool is you can do a few diving tests. I just want to make sure that the the buoyancy jacket is able to keep me buoyant, or keep me on the surface of the water with the weight belt that I've got. If not, I'm just going to go to the bottom and drown. And I don't really think anybody will miss me, but you know, I like to stay around and make a nuisance of myself for as long as possible. So what I'm going to do now is start up the compressor, go outside. I won't have the audio on obviously because I'll be in the water and won't be able to use my microphone. So we'll just go outside and jump in the pool, which I think is pretty cool. But I've got my shark skin jacket on. I've noticed something about shark skin is the fact that it's bloody good, but with a normal wetsuit you seem to get the cold water comes in sort of slowly, and you sort of get cold water over a longer period of time. With shark skin, it just boom all at once, then it warms up very quickly. So if you're diving in a situation where you've got really cold water and there's a possibility of cold shock that might knock you out, I don't think you want to be using a shark skin somehow. Also the trousers, I use the top for surfing or bodyboarding. I've never been able to ride a surfboard in my life. Not too crash hot on a boogie board either, are you? But you find that when you're surfing with these trousers on, or duds, whatever you call the bloody things these days, as you get older you find all terminology changes, like they don't call them trousers anymore. I think they're called pants, but women's duds were called pants. Men, I think, nobody seems to use the word trousers anymore. So, I don't know, the world is changing. It's not the what's his name, it's not the what's his name? No, it's not the climate change that you really need to worry about, it's the bloody English language. I think that'll destroy us before anything else. But anyway, I'm going to start the compressor up, go out in the pool and just make sure my buoyancy jacket will hold me up against the weight of the weight belt. So, see you shortly. Well, what was happening there is I was in the pool, which you probably worked out for yourself, but I was in the area of the pool where I could stand, and then inflating my buoyancy jacket and then lifting my feet off the bottom. And as you noticed, my head was only just floating high enough for me to keep my mouth above the water. But I'm not worried about that because that's a freshwater pool, and in the ocean, of course, you have more buoyancy. So my head will be further out of the water in seawater. Plus, when you're diving with a compressor, you've got an air hose coming down to you. So when you get to the surface, you don't have to search for your boat because you just travel up your air hose and then you'll come up alongside the boat. Down the side of the boat, I have a lanyard with a spring clip on it. And the first thing I do is clip that onto my a D-ring on my weight belt. And then I just undo my weight belt and release it. So, so having a bit of a heavier weight belt is not a problem for me. So the buoyancy jacket seems to be working quite well, and I think I've got enough, well I know I've got enough flotation to get back to the surface. If I haven't, well the next video might be my last one. What I'd like to talk to you about now is mess. Like, where did all this mess come from? I just did some servicing in my vehicle, a few alterations, and I come back to my shed, there's mess. Like, where did it come from? Is there like a mess ferry somewhere? Don't tell me you're there, you know, you're expected to tidy up as you go. I can't believe that rubbish, no. But somehow, just everything turns into mess. So, basically that's the end of my video. I was going to do some videos of me working on the car because I had something to do, but it was underneath the car, not much room. So I thought wouldn't really be worth it taking the camera there, and it's something that probably nobody else would need to do. So that's it, that's the end of the video, and it makes me wonder what marvellous things I'll be doing in the next video. So like, I'll see you there.
So